What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the creaTed podcast. I'm your host, Teddy Osuna, and today I'm joined by
the photographer, I guess, creative director. I don't know. I guess let's just get into it.
Yeah, man. I've been following your work for a while, and I've seen kind of like your progression as far as like who you've been working with. And I'm like, I gotta have him on. Some of the people I've seen you work with, I'm just like, that's super dope. And like your style of photography is something that I've wanted to get into. Especially right now, I've seen you shoot a lot of skateboard stuff.
Yeah.
And I grew up skateboarding back in the day, and I love the skateboard culture, everything around it. Just amazing. So to see you in it, I'm just like, dude, I want to pick your brain about it, you know?
Yeah. No, I appreciate that, and I appreciate you guys having me.
Yeah, man, for sure.
The skate thing actually, I've been working with a close friend of mine who owns Grandeur. He just opened up a shop out here, actually.
The one right here in Esco, right?
Yeah. So him and I have been friends for years.
Okay.
Before he wanted to open up a shop.
Okay.
Both him and I had grown up in the 90s, like skating.
Okay.
But as far as like filming and doing photo, it's like me like tapping back into that.
Yeah.
Because I used to shoot it before school.
Okay.
But like as I got into like the commercial world, it's like I've done so much
commercial stuff.
Commercial stuff outside of skateboarding.
Yeah.
That I haven't got a chance to do it, but now there's like this new generation that's like really killing it. And,
and it's crazy how much more popularity skateboarding has now than it did like even back then when you and I were skating, probably. Cause
oh yeah, for sure.
I don't know how old you are.
Oh, I'm 40.
Okay, there you go. I'm 31.
Okay.
So, so I grew up 9 years to you, and even for me back in the day, seeing some skaters, I was like, dang, I wish I could skate with them. Like watching Jamie Thomas skate back in the day.
Oh, for sure.
Or Adrian Lopez, some of my favorite skaters from back in the day.
Yeah, and same thing. It's funny because we're actually doing it's like a meet and greet with Action. Remember Action?
The footwear?
Yeah. So Kareem Campbell's coming out.
Oh.
Who I used to watch when I was a kid.
Same.
And was like, dude, I love this. Like, I think like him and Menace and just like that whole hip hop and skate is kind of what like.
It's what drew me to skateboarding. When I picked up Tony Hawk Pro Skater for the first time, I was like, I'm Kareem Campbell. Like, I gotta be Kareem Campbell.
Yeah.
Like, even to this day, my son, he wanted me to buy him the newly remastered Tony Hawk. And when we play, I'm Kareem Campbell. I'm like, I have to be Kareem.
Yeah, for sure. I'm the same.
Yeah.
That's the only character I use in that game.
So it's super dope that and you're gonna shoot for him or just meet?
No. Well, they're coming to the shop to do like a meet and greet. So obviously, like I'm the shop's filmer.
Oh, okay.
And photographer. So
that's awesome.
I'm gonna be shooting that.
And
then we're going over to Prince Park around 1:00.
Damn.
To do like it's like a contest giveaway kind of thing.
Might have to hit that up.
Yeah, no, it's dope. It's I think it's called Second Sundays that Action does. So Action goes from like spot to spot.
Okay.
So this Sunday they're coming out to Oceanside.
Oh, that's crazy.
Come hang out with us.
Yeah, I might have to check that out, man.
Yeah, no, definitely come.
I actually just hit up the shop you're talking about here in Esco because my son wanted a skateboard, and I went to the shop and bought him one.
Nice.
Yeah, so I was like, oh, that, and I had seen when you did the video of the opening.
Right.
So I was like, oh, that's pretty dope. Like now I can kind of go see what it's all about.
Yeah.
And going into the place, it's super it's a super dope shop.
It's good, and I think it's really good for Escondido.
Yeah.
Just as far as like having a shop, because I mean, Active's not around anymore.
Yeah, when they closed Active, dude, I was super sad.
I mean, you guys have like what, Tilly's or Zoomies that's left or something.
That's the only Zoomies and it's at the mall.
Yeah.
And trying to get a skateboard at Zoomies is like, it's hard.
Yeah, and I think shopping at the mall period and being a skater is like a no.
Exactly. Yeah. That's true.
It's definitely a good thing for Esco. Just because now they have a shop, and I know for sure that, like, I mean, I've hung out the shop in Oceanside, like, a lot, and people from Escondido come all the way to Oceanside just to get boards or a T-shirt or something.
Yeah, I drove past it the other day, and it was packed with a bunch of kids in there just hanging out. I was like, dang.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a hangout spot.
Yeah,
for sure.
That's awesome, man. Let's get into some of your work. Like, what's some commercial stuff that you've gotten into, or like what got you let's jump back to like the beginning.
Okay.
What got you into photography in general?
So photo was pretty much like an accident almost. I graduated high school. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to do art because like I've always drawn letters. I've always hung out with like graffiti artists.
Okay.
But I didn't know what to do, so I went to Palomar.
Okay. So
just
you
to
grew up
take-
here in San Diego?
No,
Or-
I was born on the East Coast.
Okay.
So like I was born in Jersey,
Oh, gotcha.
lived in New York,
Okay.
moved out here in around high school,
Okay.
and then that's pretty much when your life starts. right?
Yeah, exactly. It's when you're kind of finding yourself is in
Yeah.
high school. Yeah.
So in high school I didn't even think about photo
Mm-hmm.
or anything. I like honestly didn't know what to do. I just wanted to do art.
Okay.
But yeah, once I went to Palomar, a friend of mine asked me to take like a video editing class with them because I was just taking general ed classes
Okay.
because I had no path, nothing.
Yeah.
You know, it was basically me going to school and like having my mom not be on my back about
Okay.
like, what are you gonna do with your life?
Exactly.
You know, it was just me pretending like, oh yeah, I have some kind of goal. But yeah, I took a video editing class and I was like, I guess I got pretty good at it.
What were you editing in, or what program were you learning?
At the time, we were using Final Cut, like
Okay.
early versions of Final Cut.
Yeah.
I use Premiere now, but
Gotcha.
yeah, we were using Final Cut, and then I loved that class. My teacher was like, "Yo, you're like really good at this." Like I remember he had me cut some like skateboard. No, it was a snowboarding video.
Oh dang.
And since I was in skate, I knew how to cut, you know, like certain
To the
things.
beat and all
Yeah,
that stuff.
Exactly. And then like just knowing how to like speed ramp stuff, like depending on like what trick it was or, you know. So anyway, fast forward, I took the first semester. Second semester comes up. My teacher was like, hey, like you should take the next class, like the advanced class.
Okay.
And I was like, all right, cool. Like this is what I'm going to do. Like, okay, like I'm gonna be an editor.
Gotcha.
So then, but he was like, hey, you have to take Photo 100 as a prerequisite for you to take this class. And I was like, bro, I don't even own a camera. Like,
Yeah.
like what the hell? Like I can't, you know what I mean? Like how am I gonna take this class?
Yeah.
And he's like, well, you have to take this class in order to take this class. And I was like, whatever, I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
I asked a friend of mine, I said, hey, can I borrow your camera just to get through this class?
Yeah. Was it a film or digital camera?
Yeah, it was film.
Okay.
So, yeah, basically took that class, and I think, like, coming from film, like, it really taught me a lot. Just as far as, like, one, like, being broke, you know what I mean? It's, like, trying to afford, like, film
Yeah.
and, like, paper or whatever it was like you had to use, like, some knowledge of like how to save money. So yeah, I took that class, and then I think just like going through the whole like dark room and development process,
Gotcha.
it was like I created everything from beginning to end. And then like I think it was like every Friday we used to do these it was kind of like a critique, right? Everybody like in the class would put their boards up,
Yeah.
and show their
You had to
photos.
mount them onto the
Right.
board. Yeah.
So everyone would show them, and we'd all like critique them and kind of like go through them. And it was weird because at the time, like typically like students like usually take photos of like sunsets, beaches, Balboa Park, flowers.
Just easy stuff that
Yeah,
that's
Oceanside Pier.
accessible. Yeah.
Yeah. It might not even be like just the easy thing to do, but it's probably like what's like around them.
Yeah.
And me being from like, so I'm from like Deep Valley, Oceanside.
Okay.
So I'm more inland, like away from the coast.
Yeah.
And it's more like, I guess, you know,
Hood.
hood,
Yeah.
right? So I took photos like what was around me.
Gotcha.
You know, whether they were like doing drugs or it was like gang members or like lowriders or like gentrification, like whatever it was, like that's what I was shooting,
Yeah.
and then that's what I was showing.
Uh-huh.
So every Friday it was like looking at a bunch of like white squares, and then you see one black one, and it was like, whoa, like where did this come from? And that was me. It was like that was that dude. And my professor at the time, he was his background was a photojournalist.
Okay, that's pretty much what you were doing.
Yeah, I was just documenting like what was
Exactly.
going on. And at the time, I didn't really understand it. It was just like, hey, like, all right, shoot it, like, you know, learn your ISOs, learn your shutter speed.
Yep.
Like, this is what we want you to shoot at. And then, like, I go shoot it, and it just happened to be some homeless dude, like, you know, a portrait of him. So I think from there, that's when, like, you know, my teacher was kind of like, hey, like, you have something here. And then he would give me, like, personal assignments just to see, like, where I would take it.
Okay.
And like I said, like, at the time, like, I had no idea, like why was he giving me extra work?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was like, whatever, I'll shoot it. And then I think, like, as time went by, it was, like, every Friday, it was, like, you know, like, it always feels good to get compliments, right?
No, for sure, it definitely does.
And, I mean, me growing up, it was, like, okay, it's, like, yeah, like, I used to skate, but, like, I only went so far. I used to play soccer, same thing. But then, like, photography, it was like, hey, like, you're really, like, people were, like, always like, hey, you're really good at this. You know, like, this is dope. And, like, it made me feel good.
Yeah.
So then I just continued on. And then from there, I kind of just, like, was like, okay, like, fuck it. This is all I want to do. I dropped all my classes.
Gotcha.
And I was in the dark room, like.
So you just stuck with
24 hours a
photography.
day. Yeah.
You didn't even bother with the video editing.
I ran into my teacher, my editing teacher on campus, and he was like, bro, where'd you go?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, my bad. Like, I started taking photos. And
You're like, the dark room took me.
And he was like, yo, you were only supposed to take that class so you could take my class. And I was like, yo, like, my bad.
Yeah.
But it's crazy because it's like, it kind of like full circle because, like, now I'm going back to, like, cutting stuff. You know?
True, yeah.
But
do you remember who the professor was? I'm pretty sure, like, if...
Which one?
Your video editing...
My video editing was Mr. Richardson.
Okay, then no, I didn't have him.
And then my photo teacher, who was really, like... I had two of them. I had two photo teachers that really pushed me. One of them was Staholic.
Okay.
And then the other one, what's his name? I think it was Andrews. But Andrews was more like, he was like more fun. He was like more, he used to teach like a plastic camera class. Yeah,
Okay.
so we would take like plastic cameras.
Like the disposable ones?
Yeah,
or?
like disposables or like Holgas.
Okay.
And we would cut them up and then tape them and then like make like panoramic like photos. Like,
okay.
It was like this weird like quirky class, but he was like super cool and he worked at like OPT. I don't know if you knew OPT. There was like it's Oceanside Photo and Telescope. It was like
the one. Okay.
On Mission.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
So he used to work there, and then like he would do night classes over there, just as, like just fun classes.
Yeah.
So I think like creativity came from him, and then my storytelling came from my other one.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get some teachers where they just don't care about the students. They're just trying to get in there, get their paper, and go. So to have like someone, hey, look, I see you doing this, like do this extra to kind of hone your craft.
Right.
That's awesome to hear. You know?
And I think it's important that you know, whether you know you're a teacher or a mentor, or, you know, whatever it is you're doing for someone to like, you know, like reach their dream or their passion or whatever it is you know, one, to encourage it, and two, to recognize it and then be like very like hardcore with it, in the sense of like, hey, like if you're not shooting right, it's definitely them telling you like, hey, this is how you can shoot right and this is how we can make you better. Yeah. Rather than like, oh, like it's pretty good and like you'll get better. Like that does nothing for anyone. You know what I mean?
True.
Like,
that's pretty cool. I'm glad to hear that, because like I said, I've had teachers in the past where they're like, all right, you did good, but you could have done this better, and they just leave it at that. They don't give you like maybe you should try doing this or try doing that, or like think of it this way, you know?
Right, like that. I don't know. It doesn't help anybody.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm saying? It's like you go home thinking like, okay, like how can I make this better, rather than like your peer or whatever, like telling you like, hey, like this is how you can do this, like better, like see things better, or like, you know, how can you tell a story, things like that.
So from you not having your camera and borrowing your friend's camera, how did you pull the trigger to buy your own?
Actually, so I didn't. It's weird. It's like like I always feel like I was meant to do this just because like how things have happened. 'Cause,
Okay.
Like the stories are crazy. It's like
Oh, I want to
I
hear 'em.
remember I remember going to, so I was like, yo, I'm in this. I want to do this. I want to get my own camera. You know, I need to stop borrowing my friends because he keeps asking me, you know,
For it back.
it.
Yeah.
And so I had a friend that worked at the camera store. And so like I was in there like every day, like any day that I could go, I was just in there like looking at cameras.
Okay.
And then I remember my friend showed me, he was like, hey, like check this out, like somebody just brought this in, because they would do like resale on like trade-ins or like old cameras, like sell other people's cameras. And he was like, yeah, it was like a Canon EOS 3.
Okay.
So then I was like, yeah, like how much is it? You know, like I want to get this. And he was like, dude, it's like $500 just for like the body. And I was like, I can't afford that. Like, so then he was like, yo, you can put it on layaway. You know what I mean? And I was like, all right, like, what do I got to do? And he was like, well, just put like, you know, $20 down or whatever it was. And I was like, dang, this is going to take me forever, like, to get this camera. So anyway, I did it just to like have it so nobody else would take it.
Yeah.
Dude, a couple weeks later, like, I worked at a hip hop shop, like on Mission.
Okay.
And he skated down to my job with a brown paper bag.
Yeah.
And he was like, here you go, bro. And I was like, what is it? And he's like, it's the camera.
Huh.
And I was like, what? And then I took it out and I was like, he's like, yeah. He's like, dude, just do me a favor. He's all, just keep making the payments on it so I don't get in trouble.
Oh, damn.
Right? So then I was like, all right, cool. So then I made like maybe like 2 or 3 payments after he had given it to me.
Yeah.
I was already using it, everything. And then I went to the shop to go make another payment, and I asked for him, and then they were like, oh, he's not here. You know, he moved or whatever. And I was like, wait, you didn't even tell me. And I was like, all right. So then I just kept using it, and I didn't want to get him in trouble. Like, you know, I'm here to pay for this, and it's like, it's missing. Like, where'd it go? So anyway, I think like a year or 2 later, like, I run into him at a house party. I'm like, yo, like, where have you been? Like, I've had this cam. And he's like, you still using that thing? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, dude, he's like, just keep it. He's like, don't even worry about it. Like, it's all good. And I was like, what? Yeah. I was like, all right, cool. So like,
that's so random.
Yeah. But it was crazy because like people in my class were like, what? Like, how'd you get this camera? Like, you know, you rich? Like, you got money? I was like, bro, like, I'm showing you all the photos that I'm taking. Like, no, I'm not rich.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, it's like, in a way, it's like my circle of people were like either like believed in what I did or just backed me, like, just because they were friends of mine or they were like, hey, you're into this? Like, here, go ahead and, you know.
Do what you can with it and run with it. You know, here's the support.
Yeah, I literally didn't pay for a camera until like digital really started coming in.
Dang. EOS 3. What year was that?
EOS 3, that was 99.
99. Damn.
Yeah.
Holy damn. Dude, I was 10 years old.
Shit, you made me feel how old. But yeah, it was 99. Yeah, because 99, then I had a year of school going in, and then, like I said, I worked at this hip-hop shop.
Yeah.
And being at that hip-hop shop, we would go to trade shows like ASR or like Magic. And that's how I met LRG, the clothing company.
Oh, yeah. I was going to ask you about, I was going to kind of go into that thing because I was watching.
That's kind of where my career kind of started.
Really? That's how it took off through there? How did you get in touch with LRG, or like how did that come about?
Well, LRG it's the same thing. I was just at like.
Right place, right time?
Yeah, well, you know, I was just going to their booth. They were new. I was like, yo, this is super dope. You know what I mean? Like, I was into Echo at the time and like 555 Soul.
Okay.
Alphanumeric.
I don't know them.
You don't know Alphanumeric?
No, I don't think I know them. Look it up, Tommy. Show me something.
No, Alyasha started Alphanumeric.
Okay.
Alyasha also, I think he helped with like Zoo York.
Oh, okay.
He's a part of like the Supreme fam and all them. But anyway, so LRG came out, and I was like, dude, like they're dope. They're someone new. I knew the skaters that were on the board.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you had like Carl Watson, Chico Brenes, Rob G was on the team.
Okay.
But yeah, I would just go to this booth, and I was same thing. Like I was just some kid, like going to the booth and was like, "Hey, you got any free stuff?" You know what I'm saying? Like I was that kid.
Yeah.
But the one that I happened to be talking to was like the owner of the company.
Okay.
Who was Jonas, and Jonas at the time like kind of gravitated towards me in a sense because I looked at me as like a little brother.
Okay.
Little rat that was like coming around asking me for free stuff. And then every time I came to the booth, he would.
Okay. I've seen the logo.
Yeah.
Okay, for sure. Gotcha.
So he would like always have like packages and stuff like, you know, for me, and he would give me free stuff. And he would always tell me to come hang out. They were like out in Santa Ana.
Okay.
And then like even when I was at like the shop, like when I was working at the hip hop shop I was at, like he would send me packages. Like
So kind of like you were on flow.
Yeah, but like I did nothing.
Yeah.
Like all I did was hang out. You know, I was just a friend. And yeah, one day we sat down, and he was like, "What do you do?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" And he was like, "What, like, is there anything that you're into, like outside of like working at a retail store?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "Well, right now I'm doing photo."
Yeah.
And he was like, "Photography?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "You know how to shoot photos? Like, do you know how to use like studio lighting?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "Do you know how to use a medium format camera?" And I was like, "Yeah." And then,
Did you know how to use a medium format?
No, I didn't.
Oh,
not at all.
Hey, man, that's sometimes you got to say yes to get that job, you know?
I think it's how much I believed in myself
Yeah.
to understand, like, hey, because I know my limits.
Yeah.
Like, if you gave me a red, I'd be like, I have no idea how to use this camera. I'm sorry.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
But if you gave me a camera and it has, like, you know, whatever knowledge that I've learned,
Yeah.
it's like, okay, like, I'll figure this thing out.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? And plus, I had teachers, too. Teachers would tell me, like, hey, like, if you need help or whatever, like, just let me know. Like,
Okay.
I would go to the studio. I would ask, like, hey, like, how do you use this camera? But yeah, it's me saying, like, yeah to everything that I didn't know.
Yeah.
And I think the sole reason was because I was at the point where I was like, I want to do this for a living. I want to get paid for it.
Yeah.
Like, this is all I want to do. Because, like, if I don't do this, then it's fucking, like, going to Walmart and being that guy who's like,
Hi, how are
hey,
you?
like, welcome to Walmart.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, can I see your receipt? Like, I don't want to be that dude. But yeah, so it's like I said yes to that, and I didn't know when another opportunity would come.
Especially for
And then
for that.
also it was like, I don't know, like somebody else could take that opportunity away from me, knowing that I had it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like I had it and then I let it go.
It was in your grasp, and you're just like, yeah.
So yeah, that conversation came up, and then I think it was like 2 weeks later, you called me in, and my first photo gig was with Kanye.
Bro, that's nuts. Like saying yes, and all of a sudden you're shooting Kanye.
Yeah.
And was Kanye like through the wire Kanye, or like what Kanye was
so
like?
Kanye, it was College Dropout Kanye.
Dude, that's crazy.
Yeah. It was College Dropout Kanye. He wasn't as crazy.
And I'll pop the photo up right here so you guys can see it. So if you can send it to me, put it right there.
But yeah, it was definitely cool working with him. Because at the time, I mean, we knew Kanye as like, oh, like, you know, he's like you said, through the wire.
Yeah.
He just got signed to like Rockefeller.
Yep. He was just producer Kanye. Like,
yeah, well, in a sense, yeah. So like it was like, I think he did like H the Izzo.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? It was like, oh yeah, like we know.
You know of him.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
It's not like he's like this big star like that he is now.
Yeah.
But he was still big because he came from Rockefeller. But what was dope was that like he had his Rockefeller chain.
Yeah.
And so like he was just like super cool. And then like one of my friends asked like obviously the owner of the company he asked if he could try it on.
Okay.
So then he tried it on. Then we all tried it on. Then we all took pictures with it. Like, so we all have pictures of all of us like wearing like Rockefeller chains.
I mean, if the opportunity is there, you might as well take it, you know?
Like, but
how was the moment like when you walk into the room and you see Kanye? Like what was going through your mind at that moment?
Actually, it wasn't so much that it was Kanye.
Uh-huh.
It was the fact that like I hope this shit works out.
Okay.
Because like I said, I didn't know how to use a medium format camera and I didn't know how to use studio lighting. That was like the whole thing that was going through my head.
Okay, so you didn't know how to use the lighting. You're just like yes, and you're just like going with it.
Right.
Okay.
And so like I said, like my teacher, I was like, hey, like I got this gig.
Uh-huh.
Like I need to know how to use this lighting system. I need to like learn how to use this camera.
Okay. What camera was it, if you remember?
It was the Mamiya. I have it still.
Oh.
It's the Mamiya RB67.
Oh, bro, that's
It's like a beast.
I know. I want
I
one.
think it's heavy.
I
have mine.
I think I want I think it's the RZ67.
The RZ is dope.
Yeah.
It's the lighter one, and that's the one with like the autofocus
Yes.
functions.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, this one was like fully manual, metal,
Heavy as hell.
Heavy as hell.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was like I slept with that thing like for like a week, like trying to like figure out how to roll like film in it.
Okay.
I would cover my hands like under like a blanket, and I'd sit there and just like roll film. Because like my whole thing was like, it was like I don't ever want to show up on a shoot and like look stupid.
Trying to get your film into the camera.
Yeah, and I'm like dropping stuff or like I'm like, oh no, and then or I didn't pull the shield out. You know what I mean? Like that's a big thing. Like you're sitting there like pushing on the shutter and you're like why isn't the camera working? It's probably because the shield is still in there. You know
I've never shot medium format. I just know a lot of it because I want to get into medium format.
Yeah.
So I kind of know. I'm not gonna sit here and be like, oh, I know everything about it. I don't know that much about it. I've seen it. I'm like, oh, I want to shoot on that because I love the images they produce.
Yeah, no, it's dope. Medium format I love medium format just because one, it's definitely a portrait camera. Because of the size.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You have like a 4x5 size.
Yeah.
And it's more like intimate in a sense.
Okay.
And then also like if you use like the waist level.
The viewfinder. Yeah.
Yeah. If you're like looking down at it, like everyone's kind of like they look bigger.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? They look bigger. They look stronger. Their facial features, like whatever it is, it's like that when you're taking a portrait with that camera, they just look different than they do like on a 35.
Instead of like putting it up to eye level.
Right.
And it's like you said, just a bigger image than.
Yeah. And then, like going back to that shoot, it was, I remember the biggest thing my teacher had told me, because with medium format, you can pull the backs off and replace backs, right?
Yes.
So like, for instance, like if you wanted to shoot color, you would have a color back, and then you would have like a black and white. If you wanted to shoot black and white, the shield is there to like protect it from
The
not
film,
being
yeah.
exposed, right? So you can switch them out. You also have a Polaroid back. So like we use the Polaroid backs for to do tests.
Okay.
So like my teacher was like, hey, like just buy a bunch of Polaroids and keep testing the lights until you get it. Once you get the exposure, don't touch anything, leave it at that, and then you're gold.
Okay.
So then I remember showing up to the shoot like super early, and I still have a photo of it. It's like a ladder. I have this ladder sitting on a background.
Okay.
And I just kept popping Polaroids. Damn, I was like, where's this image at? Like, you know what I mean? I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna get fired. Like, everybody's gonna hate me for this, you know? And as soon as the image came out, I was like, oh shit, like I'm getting closer, and I dialed it in, and then.
So
like,
was it just you trying to? When you were doing or like popping the Polaroids, was it that you couldn't get the exposure? Or
yeah, I just couldn't get the exposure right.
Gotcha.
Like it was because I didn't know I didn't know how to read lights.
Oh, okay.
I would sit there with the light meter and I'd be like, I don't even know what this means. You know what I mean? Like I'd pop the lights and it'd tell me like, oh, like you're shooting at 5.6 ISO 200 at like whatever. You know what I mean? I'm like, I don't know what the hell. Like
You're like, what do these numbers mean?
yeah, I'm like, yo, I'm trying, but I know how it works through 35. 35, it just all I got to do is get that needle in the middle, and it gives me even exposure. But when you're popping lights, it's different.
Okay.
So then, like, yeah, I must have popped like I don't know, like 20 something Polaroids until like I got that image, and I was like, okay, like cool, like I'm gonna just keep it at this.
So when you were to get the exposure on that medium format, was it just you couldn't figure out like how to change the ISO or change the how?
Yeah, so it was trying to figure out how to balance, like, because I got the lights to control. So then I have to figure out like, okay, like are the lights too bright? Like is not enough light coming into the camera? Is there too much light coming into the camera? Is my aperture like way like too open? Or is it closed? So it was like trying to figure out like, okay, like, and then now that I think about it, it's like, okay, I get it. Like, you know, you go and like you meter the lights. It's like, okay, like you have this amount of light coming this way, and then you have like whatever your camera reads, and then like you're thinking about like, okay, like how much of like the image you want in focus.
Okay.
Right. And then like also like your shutter speeds. You're sitting there like, okay, like do I want it to be like crystal clear? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
super sharp.
Yeah. Also too, like when you shoot with studio lighting, like you can only go like I think it's like 200th of a second before you start getting the leaf.
Yeah. Or 250th, depending on your camera.
Right. Yeah. Or if you're not shooting at like with the
high-speed sync.
High-speed sync.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that's really, like, for, like, sport photography.
Exactly. It's like Atiba when he shoots out with...
Exactly. Yeah. So, yeah, that stuff, like, I didn't even learn until later. It was just, like, I remember knowing that, okay, I got to keep it between, like, 150, 200.
Yeah.
Like, that's the fastest, like I can shoot.
And then you have to shoot out, like, at F8 or F9.
Right.
Something like that.
Yeah, and it's, like... trying to like figure all that out, and then knowing that like okay, like you have this big hip hop dude like
about to come in,
and then you also have like I think I shot 5 professional skaters too at the same time.
Oh damn!
Yeah, so it was like an all day shoot. We were doing.
Man, I can only imagine. My head would be going crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy because you can sit there and like you can, you know, like I'm super confident that like okay, like yeah, like the Polaroid came out, I got my images, I'm shooting, we got some great shots, but then again, like you're shooting film, so then
you don't know if
you still don't know until like you get the film back.
True.
You know what I mean? So it's like another couple more days that you gotta wait. So like it's this anticipation of like, oh my gosh, like.
How was it feeling when you got the film back and you got the shots?
It was like so much weight off my shoulders.
It
was like a breath of fresh air. I was like. Okay, like I'm built for this.
Yeah.
Because as soon as like it happened,
yeah.
Because I remember getting the contact sheet, I was like, oh, thank God. Like as soon as I pulled it, like you could see the first one, I was like, oh, okay, like boom. I was like looking. I must have shot like. You're shooting 120, so you probably get about like, I think, 10 to 12 shots for each roll.
Yeah.
So like yeah, I have like a ton of like contact sheets. So like I'm looking at them. Dope, like they all look good because I had to go pick them up, and drop them off. So as soon as I dropped them off, like I was straight. Like as soon as like after that shoot, I was good. And I was like,
you're like, I'm built for this. I got this.
I know what I'm doing. I'm going on eBay right now, and I'm gonna go and find a medium format camera that I can get because I rented that camera too.
Okay.
At the time, it's like I rented everything. Like
so they asked you if you had access to a medium format, and you're just like.
No. They just asked me if I knew how to use the lighting and if I knew how to use the camera.
Gotcha.
They gave me a card to go rent all the equipment.
Oh, damn. Okay.
Yeah, because I didn't own anything. So, but
is that the one that you went and bought?
Yeah, because I was like, I know how to use this. Like, I'm not gonna go fuck around with something else again. You know what I mean? Do this all over again.
Yeah. And after that shoot, what was the next like? I guess step up for your career? Because I mean, starting at Kanye, like that's that's crazy.
I mean, I don't necessarily know like the order of stuff, but I did get into design.
Okay,
like graphic design. So I did a lot of commercial work with graphic design. So like I've done stuff with like The Simpsons and Bob's Burgers.
What?
Yeah.
Damn, what'd you do for them?
It was, what do you call it? Merch.
Oh, you did like, okay.
Yeah. So like if you go to like I remember even Fortnite, I did something with Fortnite. So like if you went to Walmart or Target and you saw like a Fortnite shirt or like a Simpsons shirt or something, it's most likely like I had a hand in it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So you were just like part of the graphic design team, and then
Yeah, like the studio
Oh,
we were
wow.
at, like we were just pumping out like designs for certain things.
that's crazy.
Yeah.
Man.
But yeah,
How'd you get into that? Just from photography, or just like see what else I could do, or just,
so the thing was is so in the meantime of like finding the next commercial thing, right? You know, you also get like the other gigs, the gigs that are like you know, your guy from down the street who does music and was like, hey, like we need an album cover,
Yeah.
like you down to do it? And it's like, yeah, like okay, cool. Like, and I remember like I was shooting all these like people's album covers, and they were all like local artists or whatever it was. But then like I realized like they were like handing it off to like a graphic designer to like do the whole art. So then I was like, hey, like if I can figure out how to do design or learn design,
yeah,
then I just cut the middleman out or whatever.
just get
and
double
then-
the bag.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'll do the photo and then I'll do the design and then here you go. Especially with like locals, because locals is like the budget's like
Super low.
small.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And then at the time, it's like I'll take whatever I can. So that's me saying like, okay, like I'm gonna get both. I'm just gonna learn how to do this, figure it out. So yeah, just like bootlegging like Photoshop and Illustrator and like trying to figure out design and like how that worked. I had a couple like friends of mine that worked with those programs.
Okay.
They taught me a couple things, and it kind of just like it made my portfolio bigger.
Yeah, definitely.
You know what I mean? It definitely made my portfolio bigger. So then I started working for different studios and stuff like that. I went to New York for a couple years to stay with the creative director for
For what?
Raucous Records.
Okay.
And like I think that's where I learned like what a creative director was. And I was like, okay, like I want to do that. Like I want to do what you do.
So, in your words, what does a creative director do?
Basically tells the story of the project that you're working on.
Okay.
And whether it's him doing it or he builds the team to make that happen. You know what I'm saying? And it's telling that brand story, whether it's a personal brand or a company brand. And that's what I've been doing for years.
You've just been a creative director for different
Yeah,
brands.
it's crazy to think that like people hire you to like tell stories, right? It's I remember like a friend of mine, he would do creative direction for different clothing brands. And I'd be like, what do you like I didn't understand it.
Okay.
Like, what do you do? And he's like, oh, like, well, I just help brands like, you know, tell their story and I build this and that. And I still didn't get it until like I started doing it myself.
Okay.
Sometimes people think creative directors are just like, oh, like, you know how to shoot video, you know how to shoot photos, like, you know how to do design, you know everything. It's not necessarily that. It's like, how do you take a brand and like help them either get more exposure, sell more products, rebrand like who they are, you know what I mean?
So like even making new logos and all that stuff and seeing like all that.
Yeah, new logos or just like in a way, like bringing them up to like the modern day, right?
Like if someone's stuck, like they're not on Instagram or something, you kind of help them build that out.
Right. So we sometimes we do get those clients, you
Yeah.
know, that don't know social media, and it's like, okay, like we'll help build all the tools that you need for social media. We'll build the vault, you know, for all the content that you need, and then you just take it from there.
Okay.
You know, but yeah, whether it's building a brand from the ground up or like helping a brand that's like stuck in the middle to like kind of escalate.
Level up. Damn, that's crazy, man. What's one of the biggest brands, if you're able to talk about it, that you've worked for, like, or in your eyes?
I've done stuff for Nike.
Okay.
Before Nike snowboarding. I've done stuff for Red Bull.
Damn.
I did a promo for The Walking Dead. Like it was the second season. So like everyone was given a character. My character was like Michonne.
Okay.
So I was giving her, and then I
That's my
did a
girlfriend's
bunch of
favorite
stuff.
character.
Was it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I done a bunch of promos of her, and I've also worked with Canelo Alvarez.
Man. It seems like everyone down here in San Diego's worked with him or connected to him somehow.
Yeah. I mean, he's basically from here. I mean,
Yeah.
he lives in Del Mar.
I have a cousin, or not a cousin. I have a friend who apparently he's her cousin.
Oh, really?
And I was like, you just nonchalantly just throw this out in conversation? She's like, I had no idea. She's like, I guess my uncle coaches him, and
Yeah.
I guess her uncle like took time off or something about it. But I was like, that's kind of a trip.
It was super crazy working with him because my Spanish isn't that great.
Okay.
And his English isn't that great,
Yeah.
And he was preparing for the first Triple G fight.
Okay.
So, like, when I was going to go shoot, they're like, hey, like, he's going to go for a run at 5 in the morning.
Ooh.
And, like,
You got to document it.
yeah, I'm like, what in the hell? Like, so, like, I'm in this car I think it was some SUV. I was, like, in the back of the SUV, the windows open, and like he's just jogging. Like that's the first time like I never really met him until like the end of the day. So like I was with him from 5 in the morning till like 5 in the afternoon.
Okay.
I literally like sat at his house while he went and took a nap. And then went to like his like training gym in Mira Mesa.
Okay.
And we met up there and I kept shooting him. But like he's so like in the zone. Like
He's just focused on.
yeah, he's just focused. It's like like tunnel vision. Nobody else is around other than his trainers, and then like the area, and then I got to make sure that like I'm not disrupting anything.
Yeah.
And like just trying to like document everything, tell the story of what's going on, get all the clips that I need to get, and then like I remember like he jumped in his little ice bath thing, and then he does this like little Canelo wink. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
Yeah, and like right into the camera, like as I'm taking photos of him in the ice bath.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, finally, like we connected. And then like as he was like getting dried and like ready to go, it was like he was just super humble and was like, thank you for everything, blah blah blah. And I was like, dang, I was like, this whole time I thought you were just gonna punch me in the face.
You're like, I didn't think you were paying attention to me at all.
I was like, dude, I didn't know if you liked me being here or what. Like you just don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're just so zoned in. They're used to so many cameras. They're just like, all right, it's just another dude doing his job while I'm doing my job. You know?
Yeah. No, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
I worked on the project. I was on the project for Straight Outta Compton. So I did that cover.
You did the cover, like the movie cover, or the
Yeah.
Damn, you had your hands in a lot of things, man. That's awesome to hear.
It's cool because one, coming from North County, you know, a lot of people think like, oh, you have to live in LA, you have to live in New York,
Yep.
to I don't know, make it big or to make it in general.
Yeah.
Even though nowadays, like, you know, people are jumping on YouTube and like trying to get that YouTube money, or that influencer money.
Yeah, seriously, it's a big bag,
dude. I think it's all the same. You know what I mean? It's just like being a music artist. It's like, yo, I have all this talent in the world. I'm pumping out songs. It's like, when am I gonna get signed?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's the same with the art world. The art world is like, when is someone gonna notice me?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I went from I remember like being a student and saying like, oh, like I can't wait to have like an ad in a magazine.
Okay.
And then I got my ad in a magazine.
That's super dope.
And I was like, dang, and then it was like,
What next?
like, oh, like I can't wait to travel somewhere. You know what I mean? Like outside of like Oceanside, you know what I mean? So then I would get gigs in San Diego and LA.
Yeah.
And then like I would hear about like photographers going out to like different countries or different states
Yeah.
to go do stuff. And I'm like, yo, how do you do this, you know? And then next thing you know, like I'm going to like New York for like 3 days and then I'm back here in like California, or like I'm going to like another state for a couple days and I'm back, you know? And then it's all in the process of like trying to figure out like how do you do it, and then also being like in a circle of other artists,
Yeah.
because like yeah, like I had to learn a lot of stuff on my own, but also I had to be around like artists to understand like hey, like how did you get a gig in like New York, or how you know what I mean? And then like people introduced me to like, oh, like there's like agencies like you can get with, you can get an agent, a manager, or whatever it is.
Do you have any of that? Or?
I do.
Okay.
Well, not so much now.
Okay.
Before like COVID and stuff, like I had like an agent that would like go and like get me gigs, like anything that like, so I have a list of stuff, and he knows my work, and anything that like falls within like my list,
The scope of
he'll hit me up and say, hey, like so and so's doing this, like do you want to do this?
Okay.
And he knows my rate or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, it's really up to me to say yes.
Yeah.
No, you know, to be able to go do that stuff.
Bro, that to me is like the dream, you know, make a living off of shooting content, because that's pretty much what I want to do.
Yeah,
So
it's a lot of like, and we live in an instant world.
Yeah,
You know
super.
what I'm saying? Everybody wants like, either everybody wants shit yesterday, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
you're not wrong.
Or they want things to happen right now.
Yeah.
You know, for themselves. To where like, yeah, like dude, like I had to fucking eat top ramen for, you know, like months until like I could really start getting stuff popping. You know what I mean? Like I remember like I was buying shoes like every Friday, just because I'm a shoe guy,
Okay.
and I had to cut that out. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
I was like, dude, like I don't have any money to spend. Like I got to pay rent, I
Yeah.
gotta, you know, pay bills, and it's like constantly looking for project after project after project. I literally had this conversation with a friend of mine yesterday, and I was like, yo, like, because he was telling me how, like, you know, he couldn't find people to work for him.
Okay.
And he was like, yeah, he's like, people just don't want to work these days. And I was like, man, it's just a different generation or a different time. I was like, from where we come from, it's like a generation of hustlers. You know what I mean? Like, you're going, knocking on people's doors.
Yeah.
And I think, like, at any point that, like, whether it's, like, now or even, like, before, it's like, if you ever want to do something or make it, or, like, whatever your dream is, like, a lot of it comes down to, like, work ethic.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like I kind of go through that because I don't do photography full time. You know, I'm thankfully enough, I help run a company, and the company is owned by my mom. And I've gotten shit for it where it's like, oh, well, your mom owns the company. Okay, cool.
Right.
She may own the company, but I still have to run it.
Right.
You know, I still have to do all the back end stuff, the payroll, like
Yeah, you
paperwork.
still got to put in work.
You know, and a lot of people look at it and they're like, you it was handed to you. It's like, no, dude, nothing was handed to me. Like, I saw my mom struggle and hustle her ass off, work 3 jobs to get to the point where she's at and she can say, hey, I want you to run my company.
Right. And that's where I think, like people who come from, like, immigrant parents.
Yeah.
Like, we understand that.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't understand it when we were kids because it's like they're doing all this work just for us to, like, either go to school, eat. You know what I mean? Like, I grew up a latchkey kid. Like, I wore my key around my neck. And I would go home to an empty house because my mom worked 3 jobs.
Yep. I feel it, man.
And I didn't get it until, like, way later. And then, like, my family always became, like, my friends.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, if I called you my brother, it's because, like, dude, like, we have a dope bond and, like, you know what I mean? Like, we're always together.
Yeah.
But it's yeah, man, like, coming from, like, immigrant parents, like, you learn that shit because
Definitely.
for me, it's like my parents came from the Philippines. You know what I mean? To, like, come to America, to live the American dream. Our dream is in the hood somehow. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But to them, it's like, hey, now they own a house,
Yeah.
you know, in the United States.
Yeah. But at least they own it.
Right.
You know, they're working and they got to where they wanted to get to.
Right.
And a lot of people, even with my mom, like it happened recently where people will kind of make jabs at like, oh, well, you didn't really work for what you have. And it's like, bro, you weren't there.
Yeah.
You weren't there the sleepless nights, like the days that, she had to go do whatever job. Like there's times where I'm driving through here and like it's a pretty nice neighborhood,
Yeah.
and I'll see someone move out, and then the ladies who have to come in and clean the apartment or the building after the people who moved out. And my mom used to do that when we lived in Ohio, because we lived in Ohio for a while. And what she would do is when I would go to bed, she would go and clean the empty apartments. Oh. And there was times, obviously, I was a kid. I'd wake up, I'd see my mom was gone. She'd leave me a note on the TV or wherever, like, hey, I'm cleaning an apartment. I'll be back in the morning or before you wake up or whatever. So there's times where I'll see these ladies come and clean. I'm like, damn, man, like they're hustling because they have to.
Yeah.
And like to see that, it gets to me. So like hearing you like saying like people got to hustle, and a lot of people really don't want to work. Like even hiring for my mom's company, people don't want to do that work.
Yeah.
And they don't want to, like we take care of adults with developmental disabilities. Mm. There's been multiple times where it's like, hey, you want to come work? They'll see what the job in the job description is. They're like, you know what? Not for me. Dip out.
And that's what it's like. You hit this thing where it's like, because I'm heavy in like having like immigrants here, right? For me, it's the culture.
Yeah.
Right? Like I'm a Filipino dude, but I definitely know like Spanish culture. I know Mexican culture, just because of where I've grown up. You know what I mean? Like, or my best friends, their moms like taught me stuff, or I just learned by going to their house, or whatever it is. And knowing that like, hey, like, okay, here's these people that want to work, but then like you want to fucking kick them out.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Or like you want to like not pay them what they're worth.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But they're still willing to do it because
they need the money.
They need it.
Yeah.
And they need to be here.
They got family to support.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And then you have these other people that are like, oh, no, not today. Like,
I don't feel like working today. I'm just gonna call out or something. I mean, which is cool. I mean, everyone, they need a day off. Like, there was times when my mom, not to kind of beat a dead horse, but at the end of the day, she would be tired, and she would come home, and I was a little reckless kid. I wanted to go out and play.
Yeah.
And what did she do? She's like, all right, let's go. As tired as she was, she would go and take me out to go do something, And it's just a lot of people don't realize that to get to where you want to get to, you got to struggle. You got to not struggle, but you have to hustle. So there may be a struggle along the way.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely going to be things that, like, you're not going to want to do, that you have to do it in order for you to, like, get out of that to do something else. It's the same thing with my mom. Mm-hmm. Like, my mom fucking hates cigarettes. Like, she doesn't like smoking at all. But she got a job at a cigarette store where people could smoke cigarettes like late at night just so she could make rent. You know what I'm saying? And that's her third job. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like knowing all these things, I'm like, okay, like I get it. I know where my work ethic comes from.
Yeah.
Just understanding like, like watching her, and I think that's important. It's like being an example, or like telling people stories.
Yeah.
As much as we're telling my story, we're telling your story. So I'm pretty sure like anybody who listens to this, they're gonna understand like where you come from now, rather than like, oh, like this is the dude that got handed down his mom's spot. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's like you know you.
Yeah, definitely.
And you know what you need to handle and what you need to do, and you're doing it. And things like this is important. You know what I mean?
It is.
And for creatives too. I mean, creatives is like, I don't know. Sometimes it's like people get it confused with like, oh, I'm hella creative. Like I want to do this thing. And it's like, I mean, yeah, like if you're creative, it's cool. But if you don't have the work ethic that matches that,
it's not going to get you anywhere.
It's not going to get you anywhere, bro. Like
that's kind of why I wanted to do this podcast, because a lot of creative people I feel like have a story to tell, but they don't get the opportunity to say it, because you're always behind the camera. Yeah. You're always telling someone else's story. Like you said, as a creative director, you have to build a brand story and tell what they're doing, So I kind of wanted this platform to, it's like, hey, what got you to where you're at? And so like this whole hearing your story is dope. Like I would have never thought you went to Palomar. I thought you just like, you know, you got like you just ended up shooting what you shot, and that was what you did, you know? Like hearing you come from like humble beginnings, I was like, that's super dope. And I would have never thought that, you know, because I never had had an opportunity to have a conversation with you. So hearing all these things, I'm like, hey, it's a dope dude, you know? This is a great conversation to have.
It's definitely like it's definitely humbling to like to know like okay like my history and like also to like not forget like where I come from.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I've had my days where it was like at the like peak of my career and I was like, okay, like I'm buying a Rolex, I'm doing this, like my stupid years, right? It's like
well,
I'm just
blowing money.
Yeah, I never had it.
Uh-huh.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, yo, like I can afford this. Like, okay, cool. Like I'm gonna buy this, I'm gonna buy this, like whatever it was. But everything that you do, like, and just in life in general, it's like it's all a learning curve, right? It's a learning lesson.
But I wouldn't necessarily say they were stupid years. I'd kind of say they're more like years where you got to be who you are to that extent because you actually had the freedom of having money.
Right.
Because obviously, you know, if we all had the money, all the money that we want in the world, we do whatever we want.
Yeah.
You know, there's no job to tell you like, oh, I have to go sit for 8 hours and do what I don't want to do.
No, totally.
Yeah.
And there's times where it's like, yeah, like you should know when you deserve something.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? All your hard work and, you know, whatever it is, like, you know, even, like, I still have my Rolex. Like, sometimes she'll try and go and flex it, like, but for me, it's like a time that I remember, like, okay, like, hey, like, this was, like, when I shot Kanye, you know what I mean? Like, I did all this and this, and it's like, and again, it's like, I'm probably not going to go buy another. You know what I mean?
But you could bought one at least.
Yeah, it's like I don't wear it as often, but it's like I look at it and I say like, man, it's kind of like a what do you call them? Like just something to remember, like that like time.
A momentum or what's the word? Oh, but I know exactly what you're trying to say. It's just something to remember that time and place of having that opportunity,
Yeah, no, definitely. Like not being able to like think about money in a sense. You know what I'm saying? It's like being able to be like, okay, like again, not blowing your money, but like, hey, like I'm buying gas, or like, yo, like I got lunch, or I got dinner, like, yo, like I got you. You know what I'm saying? And then not having to worry about like, okay, I have about 200 earlier, and then I'm spending another 50, so I probably have like 150.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like
exactly.
It's not even like that. It's just that freedom to be able to be like, even like with my boys, you know what I'm saying? Like with my crew, it's like I bring boxes of clothing. Like yo, like here, everybody gets new gear. You know what I mean? Like if I get it, you get it.
Yeah.
You know that's how we always rolled.
And that's super dope, and that I think it should be like that especially with people you're close to, because you know. I know some people, they're always like, oh, people are just trying to take advantage of you. But it's like, yo, if you have the opportunity to like give that out to somebody else, might as well do it.
Yeah, you know? That's how I think with like my creativity or whether somebody asks me to like shoot photos, film, maybe do a design or whatever it is, that's in my circle. And I had this conversation with a friend of mine, and I remember us having this conversation and like saying like, yo, like I just, because usually friends are like, hey, like how much would it cost to do this? And it's like, bro, like I'm not charging you. You know what I'm saying? Like if you want to give me something, cool.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I don't want to go through this like whole deal of like, okay, like me telling you like it's gonna cost $500, and then you're gonna be like, I can only afford $250, and then I'm gonna sit here and be like, oh, you think I'm only worth $250? Like, and then our friendship just goes to shit.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, it's better for me to just say yes or no.
Yeah.
And if I do it, like I'm gonna do it for you, because, like I said before, I don't have any other talent. Like, if your car breaks down, like, I can't help you other than, like, call AAA.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, your toilet breaks, I can't fix that shit.
Yeah.
But, hey, like, you're having a wedding, you want me to, like, document it? Fuck it. Like, I'll do it. Because, like, we're family, and you know what I mean? Like, I know how much this shit can cost.
Exactly.
And, like, if that's my way of helping, like, sure, like, I'm going to go help and do that. You know what I mean? Like, it's, like, I don't have a truck to help you move, but, hey, I have a camera to take some photos for you. Like,
I'll help you out doing that.
Yeah, that's my way of giving back.
Yeah, and right now, getting kind of back into what you do, what do you do, like, for Monday through Friday? Do you have, like, a 9 to 5, or is it like it's just like creative directing all the time? Like, how does that work out for you?
So it's like I'm in a studio. Like there's a bunch of us. We have like a web developer, a marketing guy.
Okay.
But yeah, like so we run the studio, and basically like we run through projects. So like I'll go through each project and see like which need to be done and finished that are coming up.
Okay.
Like make sure that we hit all our deadlines. Promos are getting created for like people who need them. We just had 4th of July.
Yeah.
So everyone was doing a 4th of July promos.
Yeah.
So it was like, hey, like it's like 4th of July sale, like final hours, last chance, this and that. You know what I mean? So it's like we got to get all this stuff done.
Okay.
Kind of deal. And then it's either I'm shooting video or photos for some kind of marketing like tool or like content for a brand or whatever it is.
Okay.
But yeah, my days Monday through Friday is just being creative, like trying to come up with like ideas or just stay in the game. You know, I've gone through moments where it was like I would see like young kids like just dope, you know, and I'm like, fuck, like I need to like
step your game up.
Yeah, it's like I don't want to be like the old guy that's like, nah, I'm not doing computers. You know what I mean? It's like
I'm not doing no video editing.
Yeah, it's like no, I'm not doing computers. I'm only gonna draw with a pencil. Like what the fuck? Like you're just gonna get left back.
Yeah. And what are you shooting with right now currently? Like, what's your setup?
For video, I mean, honestly, it's just like a Sony A7 III.
Okay.
For photo, I have a Mark V, like Canon 5D.
Oh, okay. I used to shoot with the 5D.
Did you?
Yeah. I traded I went from the 5D to the A7R4.
Yeah, it just all depends on like what you're using it for. I'm always a Canon guy. So
I still love Canon.
Yeah, I've used Canon forever.
Yeah.
So, I use that for photo, or if I want to shoot film for portraits, like commercial stuff. Depending on what it is, like I have a Hasselblad for that.
What kind of Hasselblad? Just like
the 500.
Dude,
Yeah.
I would love to have a Hasselblad.
I know that's like one of the like, it's like it's a goal. It's weird. It's like
definitely is.
Photographers have these things where it's like man, like once I get into this, it's like I want this camera. It's like, why do you want that? It's like, bro, like you don't understand. Like, you know, even point and shoots. Like if you want to point like a point and shoot camera, it's like okay, like you can start from like a little Kodak point and shoot, but then like at some point like you're gonna want a Yashica, or you want like a Contax, you know,
or
what
a
I'm saying?
Leica or something.
Yeah, and then like the Leica comes in, and that's where I'm still like, all right, like if I could get like an M6 or something, you know what I mean? Like that'd be dope.
a little rangefinder or something. Yeah,
that'd be dope.
I've been asking this question, if you could like have a dream setup where there was like no money involved, you just get whatever you want, what would it be? Whether for photo or for video, if you have one.
For photo or video, honestly, like I would say photo in general. It would be like a Leica.
Okay.
Like just like an M6 or M9. Like just I'd be like just shooting film, and people would just hire me to shoot that because like that's what they want. I think that was like a main goal, was to be the person like hire me because you want me to do it, not because I can. Because if you want somebody that can do it, you can always like just jump on credit.
They're a dime a dozen.
Yeah. But I always look at that camera as like, if you own that camera, you're probably like that one like legendary photographer that just like, I don't know, Vogue magazine calls and says like, hey, we want you to shoot it, and you just show up with this like film camera, and you're just like click. All right, I'm out of here.
Man, there's one photographer I follow on Instagram. I'm pretty sure you follow or you know of him, but his name is I just looked at one of his images this morning. Give me 1 second, and he shoots on I think strictly Leica. Steven Vanasco. No, it's this guy right here. He shoots like a lot of.
Oh wait, yeah. A friend of mine showed me this guy's work.
Yeah. And then
that's dope.
Yeah, he's got like a bunch of Leica courses, and I was looking into. I was like, damn, those cameras are crazy expensive.
Yeah, no, they are.
But so is a Hasselblad too. I was like, hey.
Yeah.
I guess it just depends on what kind of expensive you want to go with. You know.
Yeah. Leica's definitely more expensive than the Hasselblad. I'll tell you that.
Is it?
Yeah. My Hasselblad, like, for me, it was only like, I think, $1,200.
Okay.
Like, you're talking about $5,000 for just a body for Leica.
True.
And then their lenses, like their optics, are like $2,000 for a 50 millimeter.
Insane.
Yeah.
And then it's like, now what? Like, you go and shoot photos, and it's like,
what do I do now?
okay, it's like, yeah. But there's a photographer, so that I would say, how many? There's two photographers that definitely inspire my work.
Okay.
One is Platon.
I have to look him up.
See, this is the thing
take
about
notes.
photographers,
Yeah.
and whoever's listening to this, man, y'all gotta go and check out like legendary like photo people.
Yeah,
like
for sure.
People who shot during like either civil rights movement or like industry commercial work.
Okay.
Like not just like Instagram like photographers who make everything like teal and orange. You know what I'm saying? Like that's my problem.
Yeah.
It's like, so okay, for one, Platon is like
Does he have an Instagram?
yeah, he does.
Hey, go ahead. I'll
He shoots on a Hasselblad. He shoots portraits of people.
Okay.
But he shoots like the most like powerful people in the world.
Okay.
Like, you know, he shot like every president. Like,
Is this his work right here?
yeah, that's him.
Okay.
You know, he's a human rights activist. Like, and his work is amazing.
Oh, damn, he shot what's his face? Oh my God, Edward Snowden.
Yeah, he shot everybody. Like anybody that meant anything. Like anything in power.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, and he tells their story like through photo, and he shoots like photos of people from like, you know, whether it's like indigenous people or immigrants or, you know what I'm saying, like culture, like that. His style of portraits, like that's like my like inspiration when it comes to like studio, like lighting that, you know what I mean, like telling someone's like story through just like a fucking blank image, and then you just look at the photo and you're like, damn, this person's really been through something. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
Or like this person's like a person of power, like he comes from somewhere. And then the other one is like the street photographer. You know who Boogie is?
Boogie. Just Boogie?
Yeah, I think his Instagram is probably Boogie Photographer or something like that. He's from Brooklyn.
Okay.
And that guy's like amazing. Like,
I have to look at him after, but I haven't. Find it.
He's shot. He shoots all Leica, like all film. But just like the shots that he gets are like insane, because like he stayed in like the projects for a little bit, and he's he's from another country, and then he moved to Brooklyn, lived in the projects with a bunch of like drug dealers and gang members. They all knew him as like the photo guy, so he would go and take photos of them.
Okay.
But his photos are insane, like, and they're dope. The thing is
it this guy?
Yep, that's him.
Okay.
Yeah, he's super sick.
All right.
And then he gets like Nike will hit him up and say like, hey, like we want you to do a shoot for us.
Damn.
And he'll go and shoot like LeBron James like his way with his camera. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing. It's like being able to be that person.
It's kind of like I don't know if you probably do. You know who Esteban Oriol is?
Oh, Esteban's like my dude. Like as far as like West Coast and like not even West Coast, just like photo in general.
Yeah.
And he shoots with like
an AE1. Yeah.
Like that guy's insanely dope.
Yeah.
Like, and then being able to shoot like everyone knows him as like the LA hands.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like you shoot something so simple, but it's so iconic.
Everybody
like
just knows it.
If you think about LA, you think about like that Dodgers script, right? And then you think about the LA hands.
Yeah, for sure.
Like Esteban is dope, and I met him. Like, you know, like I did a thing for Cypress Hill's album that came out like 2 years ago.
Okay.
That Elephants on Acid or something like that. And I remember hearing that like Esteban was gonna be there.
Yeah.
And I was like, bro, like what? Like I'm gonna meet him. Like I never met him. So like I remember like I grabbed my book because I have like a Esteban book.
I have the most recent one he came out with.
Yeah, the LA Originals one. Yeah. So like I grabbed that book and then I brought it to the thing, and like you know all these people are like getting like autographs from like, you know, DJ Muggs or like Be Real, Sendog, you know what I mean? Exhibit. And then like I'm over here like, hey, Esteban, and like, can you sign my book? And
Bro,
like,
I'd be the same way. Yep.
He's like, dude, like I was like the only person, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, cause I get it, like we're in a club, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's like-
exactly. Yeah.
And we're there for like an album release party. But to me, I was like, dude, Esteban, like I know your work, dude. I love your work.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it's just, it's dope. Like, and the stuff he says too, like I've watched interviews. Like the things that he says, like I'm just like, dude, this is so dope. It's like, it's literally like my story too. Like I can relate to it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then like, and I think just like the whole AE one, like that was kind of dope to me too. Just for the fact that like my dad shot photos, not for like work, but like, you know, he would go places. That's the camera he owned.
Okay.
And then I remember like when I was a kid, I used to take the camera and I used to like run around the house and feel like I was like James Bond or some shit. You know, I would like crank it.
Yeah.
Shit,
my son does that now with my AE1.
But yeah, I would take that camera and just like mess with it because I would see him with it all the time. And then I think like maybe like 7, 8 years ago, or something like that. Like, because my parents had split up like when I was a junior in high school or a sophomore in high school. Like 7 years ago, my mom gave me the camera.
Okay.
And she was like, "Hey, do you remember this?" And I was like, "What?" I was like, "Yeah." So like I took it and I was like, "Yo, does this thing work even?" Like,
Yeah.
you know. And I remember like trying to mess with it. It was locked, and I was like, "What the hell is wrong with this thing?" And then it ended up being like the battery or whatever. I thought
okay.
it was a battery thing. But yeah, I went and shot with it, and I was like, dude, like, so dope. Like, I don't know, man. It's like we have all these tools, right? It's like we have all this new shit that's coming out.
Yeah, seriously.
But then it's like the simple stuff is like there's like so much purity in it. You know what I mean? There's so much like, and there's like so much shit that could go wrong.
There is.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like,
but that's the beauty of it. Like the purity. Like, you're not gonna just look instantly and like, oh, I got it wrong. Let me take it again. Yeah. It's like you're gonna go shoot the film and then wait like a week or two, and then see like, did I get the shot or not? Yeah. And then when you see it, you're like, oh damn.
Or like, do you even remember? You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Yeah.
Because I remember there was a time where like I would shoot film and then sometimes like rolls would stack. And I'd be like, I don't even know what the hell's on it, any of these rolls.
Yeah.
And then you get something and you're like, oh shit, like I remember this. Like, dang, I forgot about this. I was looking for this or whatever it was. Like I still have rolls of like a shoot that I did with Raekwon
Okay.
that are undeveloped.
Damn.
I don't even know why I haven't taken them yet, but like,
I shot with Raekwon, but I don't have the
because like I think like I turned in like I think like 2 or 3 rolls, and then like we picked some images from that.
Okay.
And then I had an extra like 4 rolls of just like what was going on like behind the scenes, like when he was taking a break.
Okay.
Either they were like doing blunt sessions, like it's just like we're just gonna take like a 10-minute, 15-minute,
Yeah.
or whatever. And I was just shooting with that. Like I kind of know what's on it, but they're all undeveloped, like still like sitting
still,
there.
yeah.
Like it's in a canister and it says Raekwon. I fucking drew a Wu-Tang thing. But I was like, yeah, like so I don't forget.
That's great. I mean, just to have that, even just there, it's like awesome, you know?
Yeah.
Because there was, I don't like bringing it up a lot because I brought it up a lot in my other podcast, but I shot with Warren G one time.
Dope.
And like that to me was fucking insane, bro. I texted my girlfriend. I was like, when I got to the spot and I walked into the room, I was like, holy shit, it's Warren G. She's like, yeah, no, duh. You told me you're gonna go fucking meet. I was like, yeah, I know that, but like the fact that I got to be in a room with him because I shoot photos,
Yeah.
to me was insane. I was like, fuck.
That's
Like,
so dope.
yeah, it was such a moment of like, damn. So that's why I asked you, like,
Yeah.
how was it when you first met Kanye? Like, you know, or like even
Yeah.
meeting Raekwon or like,
Yeah, see, I think so. It's so like everyone's different, in a sense of like who are they to you personally, right?
yeah,
So, like me shooting Raekwon was way bigger than me shooting Kanye.
oh, I can imagine. Yeah,
You know what I mean? Because I was such a Wu-Tang fan,
yeah,
and to be able to be like, yo, like I've been listening to Wu-Tang all my life, like you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like now I get to work with them.
that's what it was for me with Warren G.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. So like it was that, like it was Wu-Tang, De La, like I shot
Yeah.
De La.
Damn.
And like, you know, I've done things with like Jazzy Jeff, you know what I mean? Like, and things like that. Those are the ones where I'm like, damn, like it's so cool to have, because at the time you're a kid and you're like, you know, you would listen to their music
Yep.
and like you would have never known that you'd like sit down in the same room, let them like, or just work with them. You know what I mean? Like, and those to me like are like the big things. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man, it was crazy. Like for me, the moment I walked in, and they're like, "Oh yeah, just come with us." And then you know you get to reception. They're like, "Yeah, come with us, follow like whatever." And then we sit down, and he's just sitting there eating, and he's like, "Here, have a seat," just chopping it up. I was like, "What the fuck?" Like to me, it was just mind blowing. You know, it was like such a surreal moment that like, bro, I'll never forget that moment.
Yeah, no, that's the best. That's the best part is the fact that like had I not had a camera in my hand,
Yep.
like would I be here?
That's exactly how I felt when I was in that moment. And I was going through some shit in my personal life when that happened. Like I got a phone call from my friend who was like, "Hey, I need your help. Can you come out to LA? We're gonna shoot with Warren G." I was like, "Hell yeah, I'll drop everything I gotta do." And at like a few days before that, I was going through some personal shit where I was like, "Fuck, like why am I going through this? Like why is this happening to me?" And then so when he called me and he took me out there, I was like, "Yo, like what?" Like I'm going through something so hard personally, but this is taking me out of that element where I was just like, I'm in the moment right now and I'm focused and I'm zoned in on what I need to do. And then like seeing those images later on, I was like, yo, that's crazy. Like I shot that, you know?
No, then that's like, I don't know, man. It's just the beauty of something that you love so much, that you love doing, that can be like, you know, like a what do you call it? Like a doorway out.
Yeah,
you know
for
what I
sure.
mean? There's definitely times where like I've gone through like my fair share of shit. You know what I mean? Like, and I still have them, you know, here and there.
Yeah.
But yeah, like whether it's me, like, you know what, like I'm just gonna go out and shoot. You know what I mean? Like once I put a camera in my hand, like I'm all good. You know what I mean? She puts a camera in her hand. She loves to shoot.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And I love to be there with her, watching her shoot.
Yeah.
And like to see like, you know, my daughter create these like cool like images, and and me not having to really say much.
Yeah.
Like it's dope because she's just doing her own thing. And
Like my daughter's the same way. Like that picture that's up on the wall, that was her idea that she wanted to do.
So,
And she's like, Dad, can we please do this? And I was like, yeah. And that was for her 13th birthday last year. And
dope.
we took it right here in the living room. Just, I set up the seamless and she's like, I have an idea where I want to shoot with bubble gum and I want it. And we did it. And even now she still tells me, she's like, I want to do this shoot and I have this idea. And she'll send me the clothes that she wants to buy for the shoot. I'm like, all right, well, let's get it, And it's to see her creatively, it's like super dope.
No, it's definitely, I definitely push anybody or help in any way that I can that has like any kind of creative idea. Inspiration helps,
For sure, it does.
Motivation. It's just a lot of. I think a lot of times, like I said, like we live in an instant world, so it's kind of like you go shopping on Amazon, and you find something, and you're like, oh, this is exactly what I was looking for. Then you read the reviews, and you're like, oh, like I love this, I love this, I love this, I love this, and then you see one that goes, you know what? This wasn't exactly what I was looking for. And you're kind of like, okay, I'm over it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's how I feel like with kids these days. It's like they could get 100 likes, 1,000 likes or whatever.
Yeah.
But once they get that one comment that from somebody that just had a bad day or just wants to be that troll or whatever it is, and says like, oh, you think you're dope. And it brings them all down. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, dude, you got all this positive fucking energy, and then you let one thing, and it's like, if any of us can help in any way to be like, hey, just push through it, and like not pay attention to that, you know what I mean? Like,
but I'm pretty like I've been through it sometimes where I'm like, oh, I think it's dope, and then I'll put it out. I'm like, oh man, no one cares. We've all been there.
Dude, I've gone through. So I've gone through probably like 3 Instagrams or something like that. There was a time where I was like, okay, like I had one Instagram and it was like, fucking, I posted everything. You know what I mean? It was like, hey, fuck it, this is what I'm eating today. This is what I'm seeing today.
Yeah.
I'm over here, whatever. And then I had people like, yo, you never post like your photos, like the stuff that you do, blah, blah, blah. And then like, as soon as that came, it was like, okay, like here, I'm doing it. I would post like only my commercial stuff. Cause I was like, yo, this is like going to be like my portfolio.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I was like, I'm just going to show all my commercial stuff. And then, like, it was this added pressure that I put on myself that really sucked. It was like I would, for instance, like, say I post, okay, like, I shot with John Legend, right? Then it's like, I would constantly get people, like hit me, not hit me up, but, like, I would run into people or whatever, and it's like, oh, who are you working with next? What are you doing next?
Yeah.
And then, like, I would sit down, like, what the fuck am I doing next? You know what I mean? Like, I might just be doing, like, Joe Schmo down the street.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I don't want to tell you that because, like, like...
To you, I'm, like, some big...
Yeah, and it's, like... And then it also turns over to where, like, dude, like, am I really doing it? You know what I'm saying? It's like, you start to question yourself, which is, like, super dumb, but we're all human, and that's...
For sure.
That's what happens. And, like, yeah, and then it got to a point where I was like, you know what? Like, fuck this. Like, I'm going to start fresh, brand new.
Yeah.
And, like, dude, for a whole year, I shot, like, I did do my commercial stuff, but that year, when I went out to go shoot, like, I shot nothing but strangers.
Okay.
Just, like, random-ass people that I would go to L.A. by myself, like, and just, like, meet, like, random people and, like, shoot portraits of them, shoot a bunch of street stuff, like, I suck at, like, landscapes and, like, if it's an urban landscape, like, I'm super good at that.
Okay.
Like, you know what I mean? Give me some, like, broken down fucking, like, trying to be gentrified fucking area. Like, I'll shoot the hell out of that.
Yeah.
But if you give me, like, like, I don't know how to shoot that stuff. Like, or, like, I've been to Zion before. Like, I've shot Zion, but it's, like,
it's not your bag.
It's just, like, I don't know how to shoot it. It's, you know what I mean? Like, I can't give it justice. Nothing like Ansel Adams.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and that's the thing, too. It's like, if I say Ansel Adams, like, you should think in your head, like, oh, he just said, like, the legend of, like, landscape photography. But, yeah, it's like, that stuff, it's like, I remember, like, I would shoot, like sunsets or whatever it is, and people would notice me shooting. And they're like, "Oh, I'm sorry," and they would move out of the way. And I'm like, "No, you can stay in the shot."
Yeah.
Like, because to me, it just looks like a fucking wallpaper.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? My work, not saying anybody else's
Yeah.
stuff. It's just like, to me personally, like I can't see it.
Okay.
You know what I mean? If there's not a person or like a story that I can relate to,
Gotcha.
It's like I can't capture it.
Yeah, I actually tried doing that recently where I just took my skateboard and I just rode around the city, and riding around for like an hour. I ran into like a few people that I know.
Yeah.
Out of the blue. Like I was riding down Grand, and a friend of mine cuts hair there. I didn't know he worked at that shop, and I was like, oh. And then like I was just cruising down, and he like I see him next to me. I'm like, oh damn. We chopped it up for like half an hour, 45 minutes, and then I go down the street even further, across the street. I run into this dude's cousin, and I hadn't seen him in like 2-3 years, and we grew up together. And he's like, "Oh, I'm having lunch right here. If you want to come grab lunch with me," I was like, "That's so random," It's just like opening yourself up to like those possibilities of running into people or even just running, like you said, running into or meeting new people.
That also shows you that like like nothing's gonna happen if you stay inside.
Exactly. Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like you just got to get out. Like even if it's just like your front door, like you said, like you just went down the street.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like a lot of times, I think creators and like sometimes we get stuck in this like, oh, what can I do today? Like, what can I shoot today? Let's fucking create this like extravagant like photo shoot, or like let's all be creative, and it's like, okay, like, well, makeup artist isn't available, this person isn't available. It's like everything just went to shit. It's like, now what? Like, you're gonna let that stop you from creating?
Exactly. And it's kind of like also reaching out to people is a big thing as well, because I had my reservations of even starting this podcast, because I was like, I don't even know if anybody will listen, or if anybody will want to be on and talk to me and have conversations with me. So like when I reached out to you, I was like, I don't even know if he'll ever read it. Like, because there's people with less followers than you have who aren't as, known or whatever, or clout, whatever.
Right.
They've left me on scene or not even responded to the message. And I'm just asking if you want to be on a podcast. Like, you just have like the decency of like, yes, no, or like, tell me more about your podcast. I'm like, I'll tell you, So like even the fact that you wrote back to me and you're like, yeah, I'm down. I was like, dope. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Because there's people out there who won't even do that.
Nah, for me, my commercial work, it's pretty extensive, right? It's like I've worked with like celebrities or whatever it is. But for me personally, like you said, it's like a lot of us are behind the camera telling someone else's story. And it's like, bro, like at any point, like I could like help tell my story, or like, be a part of like something creative that's like in my realm. You know what I mean? Then I'm all for it. You know what I'm saying? Like whatever. Like I've done like 4 or 5 podcasts, like some were big, some were small.
Yeah.
But to me, like that doesn't even matter. Like just having this conversation, because we don't even have this conversation much.
No.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's hard to have like conversations like just with creatives in general, because either like people are creating, or it's like, we just have life.
A lot of the time, I feel that it's just all surface level. Like if you go out to a bar, or like you go to a brewery and you're like having a beer, and you're just like, oh, how you been? Cool, me too. How, all right, awesome. Good to see you. And then you go about your life.
Yeah.
You never really sit down and have an in-depth conversation where you get to know a person like this.
Yeah.
So these conversations to me are amazing.
Yeah, I love them, like, and especially for me, it's good for like again, like just being a storyteller. It's like, so I love to listen.
Yeah.
For the most part, you know what I'm saying? So like the next time like I see you, or if I go about my day and someone says, hey, what'd you do today? I'm like, yo, I did this podcast today. Like, check this is what this dude, like, this is where he's from, this is what he did, blah blah blah. Again, it's me telling a story.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I think like stories to me are the most important. It's not. I'm not saying like every fucking photo you take, should tell a story.
Exactly. Yeah.
But if you have a chance to, like, you definitely should. You know what I'm saying? Like, depending on like what your subject is, or like obviously, like if I get someone that I know who's been through is like a struggle,
Yeah.
or whatever, like I'm not gonna go and shoot like something that's gonna be like bright and sunny. Like I want to tell like that person's story, or I can change it. So like, there's been times where like I remember I had I would go through this like I guess it was kind of like a phase. I did it for like I think like 6 months or something like that, and I was like, I'm only gonna shoot nothing but like homeless people and crackheads. That's it. Like I have like a ton of photos of just like that.
Yeah.
But like I think my goal was to see like how close I could get. It wasn't necessarily like, oh, like someone walking down the street and I'm just gonna take a photo of them. It was more so like, okay, like I'm gonna be here. All right, I'm like 20 feet. Let me see if I can get 10 feet. Let me see if I can get 5 feet. Let me see if I can just fucking touch their nose. You know what I mean? And there's times where like I remember specifically there was one time, it was like this crackhead like just lady like with a shopping cart, and she was just like pushing it on the sidewalk like on the 101, and I remember she was just like just randomly like just saying stuff like, oh, like F this sucks, blah 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 blah. And she like noticed me because I was like taking photos of like, I think I was just randomly taking photos of like the street.
Okay.
And then I was like, I turned over and I was holding the camera in my hand. She walked by, and then she was like, "What you doing with that camera?" And I was like, "Just out here taking some photos." And she's like, "Okay," like kind of just like messing around, right? And then I was like, "Yo, let me get a shot of you." And then she was like, "Nah, you don't want a photo of me. I'm like ugly." I was like, "Nah." I was like, "It's not even like that." I was like, "You're beautiful. Like, let me take a photo."
Yeah.
And she was like, "All right." And then like I took a photo of her and I showed it to her. And then she was like, "Oh, look at me." He's like, "Shoot." She's like, "Let's get some more." And I was like, "All right, cool. Like, let's get some more." And so like I shot some more photos. And then after she left, like I was like, dude, that was dope. Because she went from like having a shitty day, or maybe a shitty like hour, and then I gave her maybe like 30 minutes of like happiness, to forget about whatever the fuck she was going through that day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and being able to like see her smile, like have that photo, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's just, I think being able to like sometimes change people's like moods or like attitudes, like I think like that power, like it's crazy. It's like, yo, like you could change that shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, and I think in general, like if you like just let people know they exist, you know what I mean? Like you could get so much, you know what I mean? Like, and just being cool in general.
That's true. Definitely.
Like it's dope to me to be able to like to change people's mood from like you're not gonna take my photo, to like, hey, like I want to show you this or check out my tattoo or like whatever it is. I'm gonna do some pull-ups, like some random shit.
Yeah.
But it's like, yo, they opened up. You know what I mean? Like I hung out with a homeless dude one time, like for like 3 hours before I took a photo of him, just to like listen and like get him to like trust me in a sense.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying? And it's like one of my favorite photos that I love. It's like him sitting in the alley, like looking up at the one light that's out. You know what I mean? And it's like, I remember this dude. His name's Curtis. Like he told me his story. He like moved from the South, like from Atlanta.
Yeah.
Came all the way out here. His girlfriend broke up with him. He became homeless and blah, blah, blah. All this shit. Like I learned, and I shot this dope photo.
Yeah.
And then like I can tell people like exactly like what this dude is about.
Yep.
Rather than like, hey, I was just walking down the street and I just saw this dude and I just took a photo of him. You know what I mean? Like, and it doesn't mean shit.
Yeah. That's kind of plays into what I was going to ask you last. Was like, is there a photo that you have, or you like, you're one of your favorite photos that you've ever taken?
Just like in general?
Yeah, or like just like a memorable thing, or like whatever, something that resonates with you.
There was a photo that I shot. So I shot a portrait of a woman. She was like a homeless lady. And it was down at the beach. And I remember sitting with her. I was shooting a different homeless person. And she was on the side. And then I was like, yo, can I take a photo of you? And then, same thing. Like, oh, no, she didn't really have teeth or anything. And I shot this portrait, and I showed it to her, and she was like, oh, and like she loved it. So then I took that photo, and I put it on Instagram. I think it was like probably like 4 years ago.
Okay.
I put it on Instagram, and I posted it. And then somebody had DM'd me and was like, hey, like, where did you shoot this photo at?
Okay.
And I was like, yeah, I shot it at the pier, like under the pier or whatever. And then they were like, do you see her often? And I was like, I mean, I saw her that day, but like, when I talked to her, she was like saying that like, hey, anytime I wanted to take photos of her, I could find her there. And I was like, wow, what's up? And then they were like, yo, this is so-and-so's mom. They've been looking for her.
Oh, damn.
And I was like, no shit. And they're like, yeah. They're like, yo, like. So anyway, they find her mom.
Fucking deep.
Yeah.
It's like, and they've been looking for her to bring her like to rehab to help her out. And they haven't seen her for like years.
Damn.
You know what I'm saying? And so like, to me, like that's probably like one of my favorite photos just because it impacted someone's life. Or like there was like a change because I decided to, or I guess together we decided to do something together, create it, and I put it out there, and it's like, yo, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, that's definitely a good one to have. Yeah, for sure. That's crazy. I didn't think that's where it was gonna go, but hey, I'm glad it did.
No, there's definitely there's stories in every photo that you take.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, some are big, some are small, whatever it is. But I think if you find like the purpose, of like why you took it, you know what I mean? You go back a little bit and you're like damn, like it kind of was bigger than I thought it was.
Yeah, but that's super dope. That's an awesome story to have. Like I have I have a few photos, but one of them that stands out the most to me is if you go through my Instagram, you'll see it's a friend of mine. She's my age and she got breast cancer, and she was like, I want you to document me before I get my double mastectomy. I was like, cool, I'll definitely do that for you. And while we were taking the photos at the studio, she started crying, and instinctively I put the camera down, and I just put the camera down, and she's like, please, whatever you do, don't put the camera down. Just document this. I want to have them. And then she kept crying, and I just kept taking the photos, and those are some of like the most impactful images that I have.
Yeah, you could definitely see like the emotion like in her face.
Yeah, that to me was like a super hard moment to like capture. It was like watching her go through like the whole like emotion of like happy to be at the studio, and then her remembering like why she's taking these photos.
Yeah, that's also too. It's like where's the line? It's like because at the end of the day, like I think like a lot of the times I've gotten photos like of people is because I was human first, rather than like oh, I'm the guy with the camera and they're the subject. Yeah. You know what I mean? When it's commercial work, that's what it is.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? You're coming in like we're gonna shoot and boom, you're out.
Yep.
But when you go out personally, or like even when you're creating with friends, right? There's always this like, I think some photographers have a problem with like directing, right? There's like, how do you direct people? How do you do this? It's like, well, just have a conversation with them first.
Yeah, seriously.
You know what I mean? Like, have a conversation and everything will just
flow.
like fall into place.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of the times, you know, when you shoot photos, if I want like someone to smile, if I want a smile on the face, or if I want like sadness, it's crazy how you can control it. And I control it through like emotion. So I can sit here and be like, yo, like, okay, like I want to get a shot of you. Like I want you to think about like, yo, like what was your happiest moment? You know what I mean? Like tell me like was it your daughter? You know what I mean? Like what is, you know, what you guys did, like that photo shoot, blah, blah, blah. Your face is going to change when you start telling me that story. And when I start shooting you, you know what I mean? Like I'm not going to sit there and like, okay, like I want you to smile now. You know what I mean?
Because then they're not going to smile.
Right. Or it's just like ungenuine.
A forced smile.
It's not genuine.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And a lot of times, like, that's what I do. It's like even with commercial shoots, you know what I'm saying? Like, depending on what the direction is, it's like, okay, like, we're selling this product or whatever it is. Like, okay, like, look, like, I'm shooting you. Like, you're about to get this, like, you know, your favorite sweater from your boyfriend that you haven't seen in forever that's, like, way overseas, and he's coming. You just been waiting, blah, 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 you know, whatever. And it's like a surprise, joyous look, and like, yeah, that's the look that we need to be able to sell this product. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
Or, you know what I mean? Like, and it goes the other way. It's like, okay, like, I'm not going to say like, nah, like, don't smile. You know what I'm saying? Like,
You tell someone to not smile, they're going to laugh at you like, what?
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, there's like little tricks that I'll sit there and be like, yo, like, or if I feel like someone's stiff, I'll be like, yo, take a deep breath and let it all out. Like, okay, cool. Good. Like, boom. Like, you see, like, just how more relaxed they are.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, some people get nervous with, like, poses, and you're like, yo, like.
Here, I'll get into the pose for you.
It's like, yo, like, you know, just swing your shoulder towards me a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, look at me. Like, okay, like, stay right there. And, like, and I just shoot. And once I see, like, a pose that I like, I'll have you stay right there. And then we'll just get a couple shots of that.
Yeah.
A lot of it is just shifting. You know, I've watched somebody do a shoot one time, and they were like, okay, I want you to do this. Now I want you to cross your arms. Now I want you to do. It's like, yo, just let the person be the person. And then, like, start from wherever, like, start from the beginning of what you want the pose to be. So, like, if you want the pose to, like, go into, like, crossing their arms, it's like, have them start here, like, just out. Like, okay, cool. Like, let me get a couple shots of that. All right, cool. Like, now let me have you just, like move to the side a little bit. Like, now I want you to be strong. Like, give me a strong look. Okay, how do I do that? Maybe let's cross your arms. Like, give me, you know what I mean? And then I'll shoot you, like, from the bottom up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like those things come across more genuine than it does like, hey, like, okay, stand there, cross your arms, and then I'm going to take a tough guy shot at you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I
It's
got
like,
you.
yo, like, I think, like, direction is conversation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And vice versa.
That's super dope, and I think we'll end it there. Go ahead and tell the people where they can find you.
Yeah, you can go to it's justl.com. I think that's what my website is. You want to check out my work. My Instagram, it's.just.l. Other than that, I mean, holler if you want to hang out.
There you go. And I'm Teddy Osuna. You guys know where you can find me. All the links down below, and his will be linked down there too. So, thank you guys for watching. Thank you for listening, and it was a pleasure to have you.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
dude.
man. Of course.
Like, I enjoyed this a lot. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. And if you ever want to come back, I would be happy to have you. Pick your brain a little bit more.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, I'm definitely down. All right.
All right.
Peace.
Peace.